my name is Ksen, and today I'll film very much waited video from me, for me. It's reading my book, part 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Actually, I have an update, a very good one. Before I read it on my tablet, but now I have a physical copy of my book. I think people who watched my channel already saw it a couple million times. But it's my book. I have written it. It's called In Unknown Ways. In Unknown Ways, part 1, by me. I'm currently in the process of writing the second part. I'm already on chapter 5 on my first draft. It'll take like 19-20 drafts for me to be able to finish, but I think it'll be less, as I wrote this one like impromptu for the first draft and first 2 drafts actually. So for the second part I have a solid plan, so it'll be a little bit easier to write. So yeah, and actually, if you're interested, this design will be only available till October, and in October I'll change it for a new cover that I already have available as a digital copy. You can find my book on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Smashwords, and many different platforms that I don't always remember the names of. It is even in some libraries, like internet libraries. Yes. So, it's an Apple Books too. So if you're interested, it'll be there. I even have an audiobook that Apple kind of AI creates. I still have doubts about it, if I should have made it or not, but I thought, well, I have my own audiobook like that, and I want to be able to pay for a real narrated book when I have enough money for that, as it's very expensive. Or maybe I'll narrate it myself, I'm not sure yet. So for now, there is like audiobook version that AI read for you, if you're interested. But sometimes there are like names a little bit off and places, so like be mindful that the only correct version of pronunciation is in this me narrated book. So yeah, let's start. The last time we stopped at chapter 6. Chapter 6. Where is chapter 6? Chapter 8. And chapter 6. Beware that I have my first chapters very kind and innocent and interesting in a way of kindness, like light fantasy type of kindness, and later on all the book is actually dark fantasy. So let's start. Balls were grand and majestic. The castle's pillars were painted with gold, and guests could find scarlet roses on every table. Servants were dressed in expensive uniforms that looked uncomfortable at first sight. Guests from all over the world gathered in the throne hall to wait for the king and his queen. It was their first gathering, and the royal court wanted to make a statement. No matter what, Krillon had a future. Benoit's task was to help her mom control the situation, giving small orders to maids and cooks, providing delegations with a good time. It was only a month, but he earned the trust of the man, making his actions speak louder than words. His own spite hidden beneath his skin, smiles shining left and right. He noticed a couple of men from Lorno, clad in heavy-looking coats filled with medals and colorful ribbons. A woman from Araga, dressed in a yellow-colored robe which was decorated with gorgeous images on both the body and sleeves, talked with her man. More people arrived, asking for a glass of wine in the direction of the throne hall. It was a busy afternoon that soon flowed into the noisy evening. The royals celebrated and talked, spreading gossip and news. The noble evening had been interrupted by the sudden silence that announced the royal couple. Everyone in the room turned to the arched entrance, decorated with ruby flowers. Musicians soared the violins and started the melody. The grand sound filled the throne hall. His Royal Majesty King Edward and Her Majesty Queen Ellison, a loud voice announced, followed by the clatter of the couple's shoes. Benoit looked up, unable to stop himself. His breath hitched, the small smile appeared on his face. Ellison was magnificent. Magnificent, 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 magnificent. Black dress, mixed with cream fabric, contrasted with red dresses of every Carolinian lady. Fear and green was forbidden for the evening. Her eyes shone the brightest blue he has ever seen. Hand in hand, Edward walked beside her, dressed in a black coat and red tunic, loyal to the tradition. The crowns were the coldest shade of grey. King's was sharp. 5 identical spikes stood out from the headpiece, making his raven hair look more royal than ever. Her crown was more elegant. Thin iron pieces mantled with metal stars, followed by the gem in the center of each one. Graceful and perfect, royal and grand. Ideal couple to help the image of the kingdom. The promising future for the lands that will provide Crelon with an heir. The sound of a dozen flutes rose, making the couple stand straighter. The hands flew to the position, followed by violins. Bodies moved in sync, grazing the beautiful story, right on the stones, tracing lines with feet, gracing the air with arms. Castle held its breath, watching the first dance of the couple. Black and red, magnificent silver mixed with steel. He was still unfamiliar with the idea of her being the queen. The title came with responsibility and rules, the attention of others and strong self-control. But when she swayed right in front of him, he raised his gaze and was met with eyes filled with tears. She smiled, looking at him, doing the same in return. Benoit stood in his place, posture straight and perfect, but deep in his eyes she saw it. Fear and pain matching hers. His fear for her and her destiny, because even if she wasn't married to a king, he could never marry her. They were more than friends, but never requested more. And now the time is gone. The world was spinning, making Ellison believe it was one of her dreams. Blurry images of guests, unfocused pictures of servants, and consistent rhythm of Edward's breath. Her hand in his, firm grip on the waist and ephemeral rustle of her skirts. They changed the pace, making the dance look less like an arrow, and more like a talk, slow and steady. They seemed to dance for hours, other guests joining them, hiding a royal couple from others. But her hands burned and chest felt ice cold. Putting on the best smile she sighed, feeling the future ahead of her, the steady husband beside her, and hundreds of people around. But even when she danced with her spouse, swaying to lovely music to entertain those around them, she never stopped looking at him. Benoit stood with other servants, waiting for the dance to end so he could refill everyone's glasses. There was something in the way he stared at the ground, not allowed to look at her. He was the part of her past, an ineffable piece of her future, blurry shadow that followed her under his own accord wherever she went. She was his, and he was hers, however others allowed them to be. There were always parts of the castle left empty during the ball. Apart from the chambers, there was a quiet garden a few steps down from the main part, with a wooden alcove, ivy interlaced with columns and benches, a picturesque place to hide from the party. Stefan noticed it the first time he visited Underhall. It was soaking wet, and the rain didn't stop for weeks, not allowing him to use it. Finally, it was sunny the whole day, a bench dry of water and actually comfortable to sit in. Book in his hands was written in Crelonian, pages of words with familiar letters sometimes formed in familiar words, with With time, he got used to it, learning to understand written language, falling into the dream worlds as easy as once written in his native language. Didn't he'll be hiding the whole evening? Armand said, coming closer. I'm not hiding, just letting others enjoy the evening without my company. The man sat on a bench, legs stretched in front of him, or letting yourself appreciate the evening without others. As you can see, I'm not by myself anymore, Armand. Stefan looked at him, noticing his disheveled look. What happened? What happened? What happened? Talked with the Arganese ambassador. He nodded, knowing Armand's history with the island's politicians. It was a harsh talk. They asked you to go back? They did. I guess even if Edward threatened them with political conflict, they wouldn't stop. Or you can intimidate them using your name, the man offered a joke. What book do you read today, Peters? Armand predictably ignored his suggestion, focusing on a volume in his hands. Stefan shrugged, flipping the pages. Rise of the Light. I just started it. Classic for Krillon. A perfect fairy tale for adults who want to be lost in a story. Armand's eyes narrowed, remembering the book. It's actually inspired by the House of Light and its legends. The House of Life was the biggest building in Oakenford. All in ruins, it was built centuries ago on the hill. House invited citizens and guests from all over the world to visit the only piece of Krillonian past left of future generations. It was made from stone, unlike every house in the village, with arches and hallways, labyrinths of rooms and entrances. And its walls, the court kept historical art and treasures. Simple spot for thieves, if not for an incredible amount of guards. As much as the House of Light is a majestic place, I assume it's a magnificent story, isn't it? Stefan muttered, getting distracted by the words and the narrative. Armand just shook his head, sinking into the bench and closing his eyes. A quiet garden is a good place to take a nap. The night promised to be long, and soon Edward will need him to entertain international guests. But now he could relax, however impossible it seemed. The small waves swayed the ship, gently breaking at the wooden frame. The loud sea surrounded them, making the journey feel infinite. What do we think something is right? The boy asked, no older than 5. What feels right and what is justifiable? The older woman answered, holding on to railing. And what if our justice is wrong? It is never unfair, she muttered, looking at the sky above. Weeks in the sea made her hair salty and dry, skin burned and itchy. Gorgeous onyx locks looked almost grey now, making her seem tired. The woman sighed, not wanting to dwell on her inconveniences when the boy beside her survived much more. For a child, the voyage was supposed to be entertaining. Visiting Theria without stopping in Lorna or Krillon was dangerous and exciting. The ship was built to maintain the strongest storms and fiercest pirates, but they were lucky not to catch any. The water harpies were busy ravaging their own coasts, and the deepest parts of the sea were left unprotected. Is there justice in Theria? The only justice we can have is the one within ourselves. But you said justice is right, so if they give us one, they would be right, the boy exclaimed out of confusion. His dark eyes looked at the woman. He was smart, and it created problems for both of them. Children of his age were still unbothered by circumstances, waiting for adults to solve their issues. Armand was nothing like that. He was good at maths and learned 3 languages. His diplomacy and genuine interest in justice systems were unique, unheard of, and he was only 5 years old. When we reach Therian harbors, stay low, don't speak, don't run, don't let them acknowledge you from Erica. Is being Arganese that bad? The monarch chuckled, brushing the hair from his forehead. We should be proud to be Arganese. The problem is with us. Did we do something wrong? The boy frowned, head tilting. She opened her mouth to answer, but the loud noise interrupted their conversation, announcing their arrival at the port. The harbor was full of busy people carrying the ship to the dock, carrying boxes and talking with sailors. It was their cue to go. They moved through the crowd, heading to the nearest village. It was full of flowers and trees. The water canals glittered in the sun, crossed by the bridges. They walked further to the tall building with a peony sign on the outside wall, opening the wooden door. "Welcome to Pavionville," the host exclaimed, smiling at them. "I hope you like it here." The journey to the new life started in Syria, where gardens were still cared for and children ran happily on the streets. 19 years later, the same peace will erupt in the country in the virtue of one princess that will become the queen. The kingdom was on the verge of war, but she wasn't born yet. The first blood will be split 4 years later on yellowed field, repeating the legend. And the last scene. "Congratulations on your marriage," guest said to her. "You look ravishing." Man looked her up and down. "Don't worry, everything comes in time. I had to wait too," women noticed, looking at her with pity. Alison was drowning in the same hole she was shining in. Minutes of bliss replaced with hours of torture. Today she wasn't a person, just an addition to the king, lovely jewelry and a target of gossip. It took her all power not to strangle them here and there. One of the court members came to her with a glass of wine. She looked at it, noticing the whirl of color within. It wasn't all red. Pink and white powder was pearly mixed in a liquid to poison her. "Why have you done it?" she asked, raising an eyebrow. "What?" Alison sighed, taking the glass from him. "I'm not stupid to drink what strangers offer me, but you..." She paused, swallowing the liquid, enjoying the haunted expression on the man's face. "You don't seem smart." Motioning to the guard with her hand, she looked impatiently at the screaming man, who wanted to escape the firm grip of his warder. It wasn't the first time since her wedding. "I see you have so much fun." Benoit stepped closer to her, appearing from the small door. "Where have you been?" She looked for a place to put her glass on. "Here and there. I need to be sure guests are happy and satisfied, and with Armand's disappearance, it's that much harder to do. That much harder to do." Benoit answered, taking the glass from her. "He's gone," she said, raising an eyebrow. "Probably went outside to get some fresh air. I bet it is exhausting for him too, entertaining politicians and pretending to have fun. You don't have an inkling. I've met almost everyone in this room, and all we talk about is our marriage, children, and the prettiness of my body," she sighed. "At least, with Edward, they have conversations about politicians and politics and governments. Why don't they ask him about offsprings?" "In the eyes, you're a lady, newlywed girl who's brought here to provide the kingdom with an heir. Nothing more." He looked into her eyes, noticing the tiredness. "We both know it's not true, but sometimes people give us roles in the heads we don't want to live up to. And when we try to find those roles, they'll feel disappointed and try to put you back in your cage." "Right, cage," she whispered. The golden cage, with fluffy pillows and beautiful dresses, a friend beside her and a lovely garden to build. "Are you okay?" he murmured, gently placing the head on her wrist. Alison nodded, lost in her thoughts. I wanted to ask her again, but the sound of breaking glass pulled his attention towards the man on the other side of the room. "I'm sorry, I have to help." He headed towards the guest, cursing Armand under his breath. Man needed to give him the best of secrets in the future, or he'll choke him in his sleep. The end of the chapter. It's a short one, concentrating on the ball and what's happening there, and illustrating the relationships between Alison and royals. And they don't really like her, as she is a princess of opposing country in the war, Syria. They don't really like her. They don't really like that the woman came into the kingdom too, and the young one. It's fun to be back reading a book. Honestly, I missed it all tonight. And I truly love my characters. It's always a pleasure to see them having dialogues and stuff. It's always a pleasure. And right now I'm like have a TikTok where I promote my book and me as an author, basically. If interested, there's a link. So yeah, it's like I'm bringing them to life with TikTok, so they act as characters and stuff. And acting is fun too. I'm in no way a great actor, but it's fun too. It's fun to play as Alison or as Armand or Benoit and will like build a relationship between me as an author, between my characters. It's always fun. So yeah, that was me reading my book. So much fun. Thank you so much for listening. I hope I'll read the next chapter sooner than now. And I think my next video will not be from here anymore. Probably. Don't know yet. For timings. But yeah, there is this wooden stuff that I won't see until next summer probably. I'll be back in my room with, and I'll put some decorations there. I want to put new decorations. But anyhow, if you want to read, look further down all the chapters before I read it in probably a year or so. There's too much chapters. Yeah, so it's available on many platforms. The links are in the description. You can buy a digital copy or physical copy. There's an AI narrated audiobook on Apple Books. If you're interested, check it out. It's fun. It has very interesting intonations and very interesting narration style. It's 11 hours, I think. Sometimes words are a little wrong, so beware of that. So yeah, if you want to get this illustration as a cover before October, you can get it on Amazon. I think in Barnes & Nobles too, probably. Don't remember. So yeah, this printed copy is only available till October, and then there'll be a new cover if you're interested. It's already available as a digital copy. Check it out. If you're interested in having more content from me about my book, it's all on TikTok. I try to promote it as much as possible. It's even fun too. So yeah, thank you so much for being here with me today, and